With the third pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Solomon Thomas, defensive end, Stanford.
Well, a sigh of relief for Solomon Thomas, who gets to stay close to where he played his college football at the Farm in Stanford. Hometown of Coppell, Texas, which is just outside Dallas. He lived in Australia for 5 years. His first sport was swimming. He learned to swim by body surfing on the Great Barrier Reef. And now he'll try and body surf his way to the opposing quarterbacks as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. He's the nephew of John Thomas, a four-time Big Ten 400-meter hurdles champion. And the only thing he cares about now is hurdling down those steps. Mel, what do we like about Solomon Thomas?
First of all, I think it's interesting. The 49ers need a quarterback. They said, okay, Cleveland, Chicago, you can have Mitch Trubisky. We'll let you have him. We'll take Solomon Thomas, another defensive lineman. They took Eric Armstead, then DeForest Buckner. Third straight year, you're taking a defensive lineman. This is a third-year sophomore with tremendous upper body strength. Really good athlete at a 35 vertical. And everybody said, well, the Sun Bowl against North Carolina was his only great game. No, it wasn't. He dominated against UCLA. He dominated against Notre Dame. And in that North Carolina game, he had 7 tackles, 2 stops behind the line, and a couple sacks. He was after Mitch Trubisky that entire game. Look at his anticipation at the snap of the ball, the way he diagnoses, he varies his charge. Shows really good leverage, plays with real good leverage with that strength and that 6'2½", strong, powerful, 273-pound frame. That's interesting. You think about the 49ers again, guys, taking that defensive lineman, passing on a quarterback like Trubisky, looking now at a team getting after the quarterback with Thomas, who play inside as a 3 technique, outside as well. Great scheme versatility. Be interesting to see how this plays out with the Bears going to quarterback and the 49ers passing on one when all they have right now is Matt Barkley and Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, look, the San Francisco 49ers defense was historically bad last year against the run. Almost 2,600 yards rushing the football they gave up. That's just unheard of. And so they need more defensive linemen. I don't care how many defensive linemen they've drafted in the first round. They need players like this. Furthermore, like I had stated before when Chicago was on the clock, this is a guy who can play multiple positions. You're not going to just see him sit in there at a 4 technique and just get beat on if they run in the 3-4. They're going to put him on some edges. They're going to move this guy around because he's a tremendous, tremendous athlete. They need guys in the front 7 that can stop the bleeding for this defense, because last year every team had their way with them up front, and you can't do anything there. You'll never get the 3rd down if you can't take care of 1st and 2nd down. I know you know that because you talk about it. So this is a guy who can help them do that.
Well, they're going to run a defense similar to the one run in Seattle. They have a new defensive coordinator. If you know anything about Seattle, Michael Bennett is the man that makes them go up front.
Absolutely.
He'll line up over the left guard, the right tackle, the left tackle. That's Solomon Thomas's game. He is smart, he's in great shape, and he is extremely versatile. I like the pick a lot. I am surprised, however, I thought they'd get a quarterback.
So he doesn't have to move very far, Coach.
That's great. That's great for him to see Solomon with his family. Just an extraordinary young man. Looking forward to what this guy can do at the next level.
Good luck.
But as I said earlier, it's one of the reasons why we changed our rule to let juniors be captains. This is a leader. He's an excitable young man, but he brings the same thing every single day to the building. He's excited. He's fun to be around, but make no mistake about it, this sucker is a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to excel. He wants to exceed anybody's expectations for him. Don't think he hasn't heard all the tweener talk for the last couple of months. He's ready to go.
Yeah, I think one of the keys, Coach, is his versatility, because the last 2 years the 49ers have taken a Pac-12 interior defensive lineman. They took DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead, right? So now it's a different front. They're going to play a 4-down front. So you would anticipate, Coach, on 1st down, he's a defensive end, I would imagine. And on the money downs, he kicks inside. Would you agree with that?
There's no question about it. That was our plan for next year at Stanford, which we didn't get a chance to use.
Implement here now.
But that's exactly what he is. Because day one, right now, he's rushing the passer from a 4 or 3 technique, and he's as good as anybody in this draft, and he'll be one of the best ones in the NFL in short order. Yeah. This kid, as a freshman, he jumped up and touched 11 feet at 265 pounds.
Coach,
that's a foot over the rim. This guy is a phenomenal athlete.
He had a defensive back workout at the Combine. He ran sub 7 seconds in the 3-cone, which defensive backs want to do.
And so for his first draft choice as general manager, John Lynch chooses an alum. He chooses a Stanford Cardinal.
And the Niners have traded back in. They get the 31st overall pick. Seattle gets a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. So clearly there's a player out there that San Francisco and head coach Kyle Shanahan and new GM John Lynch apparently covet, and they want to make sure they get him, and let's see who that player is.
With the 31st pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Reuben Foster, linebacker, Alabama.
Well, the long wait is finally over for Reuben Foster. Off the board, Mel. You had him as one of the best players in the draft.
Yeah, dropped him to 8, Trey, and that was after the issue, and he was up there in the top 5. When Todd McShay and I did our GM mock draft, I picked him at 5 for Tennessee. So Reuben Foster is one of the best football players in this draft, no doubt about it. 49ers were picking 2 at one point in time. You'd have to believe he would have been in their thought process then had it not been for the issue. Now they get him near the end of round 1. I looked at Ray Lewis in college at 220 to 225. Reuben Foster's about 228 to 230 pounds. He will get a little bigger. He is all over the field. Blows plays up. Talk about a defensive leader. Talk about Reggie Ragland was there 2 years ago, yet the guy that was really studying that defense was Reuben Foster. Nick Saban trusted him. All he did was go out there every down and make plays. He's an every down linebacker. He's not going to come off the field. To me, if he can obviously stay focused on the job at hand, stay healthy, be durable, which was a concern going in, heck of a player. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Reuben Foster was fun to watch. He will be an immediate hole filler and a steal if everything really works out in terms of him just getting the job done on a football field, maximizing all that ability.
Well, there you see Reuben finally searing his name off the board. Keep in mind, Foster's the first linebacker drafted by the Niners in the 1st round since Patrick Willis went 11th overall in 2007. And that worked out as Willis turned out to be a 7-time Pro Bowler and a leader on that defense that fell just a little bit short in Super Bowl 47. Reuben Foster finally off the board. What do you think of that?
Reuben Foster, linebacker.
Bama shoots the gap. Take a seat.
2016 First Team All-American selection.
Reuben Foster, come on down.
6 foot 229. I'm a BC guy, and I don't say this very lightly, but he reminds me of Luke Kuechly when I watch tape. He had a tough childhood, but he's an immediate impact player. Sideline to sideline, he will light you up, can play in the pass game. I'm amazed that he's fallen to this point. Now, here he is. When he sees it, he trusts his eyes. There is no doubt when he's coming downhill, and sideline to sideline, he makes big hits. Again, screen pass. Every Coach Shaw talked about energy to finish. Every time he makes a tackle, his energy finishes. Look at him on the kickoff team. Get off me. You kidding me? Sees football and reacts. Oh, and look at that hit, folks. Energy and finish. Now, he went 31. He's number 7 on my board. Rich, a really interesting conversation to me is I think there's 2 surprising picks for different reasons. Garyon Conley to Oakland. They better be right about the homework they did on that kid. And Reuben Foster, 30 teams passed on him with tape like Kuechly. San Francisco better be right on him with that shoulder.
All right. To me, it's interesting, though, when you look at John Lynch, this is his first draft as a general manager. You kind of go with what you know, and you look at those Tampa defenses that he played on. He went out and got Solomon Thomas first, so he tried to get his Warren Sapp, someone that can rush inside, and it looks like he just tried to find his Derek Brooks right here with what he got in Reuben Foster, which, again, if his shoulder is right, this is probably the best pick in the draft.
Yeah.
You know, for years we've been hearing, you know, Mike usually talk about guys that are thumpers and other guys that are speed guys. This is the combination. This is a sideline to sideline thumper. This is rare. This guy's a special, special football player. He sits in that middle of defense, and no one is safe. not in the run game, not in the pass game. He's a phenomenal blitzer. He's great against the run. He's great against the pass. This guy's going to be exciting at the next level.
Can I appropriate that term? Sideline to sideline thumper?
It's all yours.
I like that.
There you go.
I like that.
I love you. With the 66th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select
Okello Witherspoon, defensive back out of Colorado.
Little known fact, Okello Spike's muscles have muscles.
Yes.
That guy is built. As for Okello Witherspoon, this is a guy who literally grew into the position at Colorado. We've had 2 Colorado DBs off the board down the last few picks.
Said it, Trey, JUCO kid, late bloomer, led the nation, 22 pass breakups, almost 6'3", nearly 200 pounds. In coverage, he had his moments, locating the ball, breaking up passes. But the Washington game, he struggled, got beaten more than you care to see. Michigan game, he played better, missed some tackles in a number of games I saw on tape. Not physical, run support, Todd, a major issue. One-dimensional player right now, Okello Witherspoon.
Yeah, you're betting on length, athleticism, and speed, and he's got all of that in coverage. You see it on the tape, and then went to the combine, had an unbelievable workout, ran a 4.4 540 at his size, 6'3", 188 pounds, and had a 4.12 short shuttle at that height. It's really impressive.
Super, super fluid athlete.
Yeah.
You watch him, he's graceful on the football field, especially the longer you extend him down the football field. He can run with anyone, he can leap with anyone, real good ball skills. But I'll tell you what, you watch the Michigan game early in the year, and he literally was running away from trying to make tackles, running away from run support, to where every time he was on the football field, they were pointing him out and running the football at him.
That's worse than a buffet tackler.
He's going to have to improve that, because John Lynch,
yeah, he's not having that.
He's not going to put up with that. But he's a great athlete. He's just going to have to improve that part of his game.
He grew 7 inches in 16 months from 5'8" to 6'3", so he is still growing into his body. Yeah, that's not easy. That's like the rat.
Is somebody that you love the size and the speed combination that he brings to the table. That secondary, we saw Wuzie already go. They got a safety we're going to see go probably tomorrow in Tedrick Thompson. But Witherspoon is the most intriguing of all of them. I also think he's the most inconsistent of all these players. You watch him against USC. Mike, you referenced Juju Smith-Schuster taking a knee to ice that game. He beat Witherspoon a couple times in that ball game. I love the height, weight, speed. He's raw. He's going to need a little time to develop before he becomes what the 49ers hope he can be at top of the 3rd round pick right here.
I think the knock on him is physicality. He's got to be more consistently physical. And
With the 104th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select C.J. Beathard, quarterback, Iowa.
So if you're thinking, boy, that name C.J. Beathard sounds familiar, you would be correct. First of all, there he is with Taylor Swift, because his father, Casey Beathard, a renowned country music songwriter who's penned top 10 hits for Kenny Chesney, Eric Church, and Trace Atkins, and Tim McGraw. And his grandfather, Bobby Beathard, is one of the legendary evaluators in the history of the NFL. Mel, what about Bobby's grandson?
You think about a winner. 21 wins as a starting quarterback for Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes, 3rd most in school history. Orchestrated 6 fourth-quarter game-winning drives in his career. Yeah, he's a game manager. He's 6'2.5", 220 pounds. That's the kind of size you want. He doesn't have the big arm, but he can beat you rolling out and scrambling around and making some plays with his legs. What he lacks right now, you talk about pocket presence and awareness, takes too many sacks for my liking. But when he got some help from the offensive line, he was in that pro offense, he was a winning quarterback. I think he's a career backup type in the NFL. Can play a long time in that role. Your starter gets hurt. Hey, he can get you through a 4 or 5 game stretch without you going 1-4, 1-5, and really having a tough time maintaining an opportunity to get into the playoffs. So I think that's what he is. He's an insurance policy backup quarterback if you got a quality starter, Lewis.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has the advantage of working from a pro offense with pro personnel groupings. Really benefits when you have a strong run game, play action passing game. He's good on the short and intermediate stuff. He can throw the slants. He can throw the shallow crossers. I think one of the best routes he threw was about the 10 to 12-yard intermediate dig route. But as far as off-schedule plays, getting outside the pocket, making those plays, maybe rolling to his left, those plays that require special arm talent, he doesn't have that. He's probably exactly what you just said. He's probably a 4 to 5 game backup type of guy who you know will be solid if you have to put him in a football game, but he's not the long-term answer in terms of what they're looking for to really take them to the next level.
All right, so the San Francisco 49ers take C.J. Beathard off the board.
Now, what pick was that? San Francisco?
San Francisco
Fourth
took
to
him from
last,
Minnesota.
C.J. Beathard, the Niners traded in to get it.
C.J. Beathard had mostly 5th, 6th round grades from the teams I spoke with. Obviously has great NFL lineage. The Beathard name famous for talent evaluation. And I thought his tape was down a little bit this year. I thought he was better as a junior. Very smart, understands where to go with the football. Better armed than expected when you really sit down and study him. I haven't seen him live, and the people that went to his pro day told me he had an excellent day.
Reminds me of Matt Barkley, who's going to be a teammate now.
Interesting.
Don't forget pro-style kid coming out. Get you acclimated quicker.
By the way,
with the 121st pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Joe Williams, running back, University of Utah. Go Niners!
That's an interesting one, Mike.
Well,
you talk about the announcement or the pick?
The pick.
Okay.
You know, what an interesting journey this young man's had to this point. 5'11", 210. He ran 4.35. He's a gash and go guy. When there's an opening there, he can turn on the jets and he's gone. Now, he had a big year, and Charles, I'd be interested to hear your take on this. He left the team, kind of quit football, a lot of conversation in the scouting community, and came back. What's your take on him, Charles?
Yeah, the official word was that he left because he had some family issues that were plaguing him. Didn't think he could give it his all. Dennis Erickson actually called him and asked him to come back, and he took off from there.
Joe Williams, who goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Joe's career has taken some very serious twists and turns for a lot of different reasons. He began his career at UConn in 2012, played 9 games before being kicked off the team for illegal use of a credit card, then went to ASA College in Brooklyn, played 1 season, but then things sort of took a turn. He enrolled in Utah in 2015 and retired after 2 games in 2016, citing physical and mental fatigue, saying, physiologically, just my physical well-being, I didn't want to be there, and I didn't want to be a detriment to the team's success. However, he did come back 5 weeks later, and he averaged 156.3 rushing yards per game. Now, to understand why he would walk away citing mental fatigue, you have to understand something in his background. His lone sibling, his sister Kylie, died abruptly when he was 13, and she was just 7. And she basically died in his arms. They took his sister to a hospital. She was misdiagnosed with dehydration, but she was actually having heart attacks. And it really broke his heart. He needed some time to get together and find his way again. And once he was able to deal with that emotionally, you saw the numbers, what he was able to put back on the field, over 156 yards per game. So that's the story that got Joe Williams back on the field. And Mel, when you saw him on the field, he produced.
I'll tell you what, Trey, when he returned to the field October 11th, he returned with a vengeance. Boy, this kid came back ready to play. Really impressed with his ability to pick up yards after contact. You watch tape, and that 4.41 speed, once he gets into the open field, he is electric. He is gone. 5'11", 210-pounder, and he did it against some really good teams. This game team here, the UCLA Bruins, he rushed for 332 yards in that game. That set a school record. Washington Huskies, we see their players flying off the board, those defensive backs. Well, guess what? In that game against the Huskies this year, rushed for 172 yards. He had 222 yards against Indiana in their bowl game. Now, in that game, he also had a couple drops, so his pass receiving ability, a little inconsistent. But as a runner this year, once he came back October 11th, he was on fire the rest of the year, Todd.
Yeah, he flashes as a receiver. I think that's an element of his game that with more experience and more work, he can continue to improve and become a weapon in the NFL because of that quickness. He's one of the few guys with average size, about 5'11", 210 pounds, that has both quickness and speed. That burst once he gets going, really impressive.
When you look at the backfield that the 49ers now are trying to build here, I mean, you have between guys like Carlos Hyde, they signed Kyle Juszczyk. They have Tim Hightower. Now you have Joe Williams. I mean, look, think of Kyle Shanahan's offense in Atlanta. Think of how they had different body types, but they were all slashers, all one cut and go, get it north and south, big-time playmakers. They've got some guys in the backfield right now. They're going to run the football on you. You know Kyle Shanahan's going to do it. He gets it from his father. They've done it. He's done it everywhere he's been. It looks like they're going to do it again in San Francisco now.
And again, one last note. He always felt, Joe Williams, that it was somehow his fault that he didn't do enough to save his sister. It said people made a big deal that I quit on the team. To me, it was necessary. I was learning to come to grips with the fact that it wasn't my fault. And now he's found a way to deal with that, and Joe Williams has found his way into the NFL. He will be playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Happy times in Pennsylvania for running back Joe Williams. All the things that he's come through, all the things that he's overcome, it's all ended up with him getting a chance to live out his dream in 2017, playing for the San Francisco 49ers.
Joe Williams out of Utah. I know he sat out 1 year. I know some people question his commitment to football, but that 1 year I think he had a chance to reflect on the game, get more excited about it. He's an outstanding selection for the San Francisco 49ers. To your point, Heath, that guy was on their draft board.
Yeah, he's a burner too. We'll give you another running back. Listen, North Carolina.
Another one off the board. San Francisco takes tight end George Kittle, whose dad was on a championship team for Iowa back in the 80s on the offensive line.
And Grover Stewart decides that under the radar, George Kittle is obviously on the radar at Iowa, and I think what you love about him, you see the one-handed catch there, but versatility will keep you in this league a long time. They used him on the line, in motion, he was in the slot. He did it all for Iowa. As a junior, he led the Hawkeyes with 6 touchdown receptions on 20 catches. So 6 touchdowns, not a lot of production, but when you talk about getting the ball and catching the ball down in the red zone, he can do it. This past year, he misses a couple games with an injury, still has 4 touchdown grabs. Against North Dakota State, he had a career-high 110 receiving yards. This kid's versatility, blocking, in line, flex him out, he can catch the football. Then he goes to the combine, and he wowed everybody over with a 4.5 240 and a 35 vertical. You always see that on tape, but that was a number that combined with the versatility to move him up the board a bit.
Lou, what do you think of the 49ers draft?
Look, they're doing good work, man. They really are. Solomon Thomas, a guy who really is going to be a good penetrator, a good defensive tackle. Reuben Foster, the top 3 pick, a top 3 player in this entire draft. Okello Witherspoon just has to get stronger. One of the best athletes overall in this draft. C.J. Beathard, probably just the type of quarterback that Kyle Shanahan wants to work with, a guy who can really spread the ball, short and intermediate, struggle some with the deep ball. Joe Williams, they continue to add to their arsenal of running backs, and you know Kyle Shanahan is going to run the football on you, and he's going to run it on you consistently. They're doing a great job here in their maiden voyage at the draft.
Very impressive first draft for GM John Lynch. Why the 49ers should trust the process when it comes to wideout Trent Taylor out of Louisiana Tech.
I'm at the NFL Combine with Kevin Whittle, who works for me and does a lot of these scouting reports as well. And we're watching Carlos Henderson, who's a 3rd-round pick of the Denver Broncos, and Trent Taylor as well. But he's keeping focus on number 5 a little bit more. Keeps on making plays, catching the ball, run after catch. He's tough contested catches over the middle, getting knocked out and still finding the way to bring the ball in. You see the one-handed catch there. And every time he makes a play or every good route he runs, Kevin looks over at me and he's like, McShay, you see that? Like, yeah, Kev, I got it, but I can only get so excited about a 5'8", 181-pounder who ran a 4.63 today at the Combine. He's like, all right, why don't I handle the scouting report? Good, go ahead. He winds up giving him a 5th-round grade, and here we are in the 5th round. I thought he was crazy. I was like 7th round, undrafted free agent. Kevin Whittle trusted the process. process, stuck it through, and gave him a perfect grade.
Is he Cole Beasley? I mean, is he that kind of player? He's quick, he's not fast. That's the kind of guy, Trey, you brought up that name. That's what
get your own comparisons, Mel.
Who do we compare? Hey, also to Wes Welker,
there you go.
Amendola. Can he be that kind of guy? Those are what you're looking for in the NFL with a guy like Trent Taylor. He has the return ability as well.
So let's get you caught up on some picks. Pick 198, DJ Jones, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi.
This guy's got some ability. He started off at East Mississippi Community College and transferred in for 2 years at Ole Miss. Played 25 games, 15 starts, 12 starts this past year. Just kept getting a little bit better each year. He's 6'1", you saw a little bit under 6'1", 319 pounds. This guy's just a sawed-off run defender is what he is. Shorter arms, only 6 sacks. I don't think he's ever going to be a great pass rusher in the NFL, but it does have some disruption, and I like him because he's stout, plays with leverage, does a good job versus the run, and I think as a rotational player, you can use him on obvious rundowns in certain situations and see if you can continue to develop his pass rush skills.
Lewis, take us through what John Lynch has done his first year as the general manager.
Well, you see, this is what the latest draft pick there at defensive tackle. They continue to get guys who can get up the football field and play with a little bit more speed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That's what Solomon Thomas is. That's what Reuben Foster is at the second level. Okello, again, we'll talk about it. He has to get stronger, but great athlete. Then when you look here at the bottom part of the draft, again, I mean, they're trying to get body types in order to carry out the new regime's philosophical approach to playing defense in particular. They drafted a running back, again, to add to the stable in terms of what Kyle Shanahan was to do offensively. Really, I mean, it's been very smooth for them. You would never think that this is a first-year head coach and first-year general manager, which speaks to the work that they probably put in terms of developing a plan and now executing.
You know him, you love him as Peter Taumapenu.
Peter, we call him. 46 career games played at Utah. He really was never a full-time starter. Only 7 career starts in his 4 seasons there. Born in Texas, I'll do a little wingo here for you. Born in Texas, moved to Tonga at 8 months old, then returned to the States at 17. Played just 1 year of high school football, so a work in progress. Extremely raw, but he's got some ability here. He's shorter, 6'1", 243 pounds. He's 4.67 is what he ran at the combine, and you look at him as a player. Late round developmental project is what I have in the notes, but some stuff to work with. And San Francisco now, they just took a DJ Jones, a defensive end, a little bit ago. They continue to work on that defensive front.
Listen, you want to talk about raw? The first time Peter put on shoulder pads, he put them on backwards.
Adrian Colbert from Miami going to San Francisco. Defend the pick presented by Michelin. Replacing that in front of you, Mike Mayo.
Yeah, a 5th-year graduate transfer from Texas. He's a height, weight, speed guy. He ran in the 4.3s at over 200 pounds. Now, he's played corner and he's played safety, but he caught my eye because I watched the Notre Dame game. I wanted to see Cornell Elder and Rayshawn Jenkins. That kid right there blew up bubble screen about 4 times. He beat people up, and I'm not a very good Twitter person, but I took that couple of those clips, I threw it out there, and I got all this Adrian Colbert love coming back to me because they love the fact that I put him out there. And I just think he's gonna make a team and be a gunner, be a core special teams player, and try to learn how to play either corner or safety.
Well, as we continue here from Philadelphia, we're about midway through the 7th and final round. First round got off to a bang for the San Francisco 49ers. They get Solomon Thomas after working a trade with the Chicago Bears, and then trade back into the end of the first round to get Reuben Foster, of all players, out of Alabama. And they add strength at wide receiver and defensive line in day 3. Delighted to be joined now on our draft coverage by the first-year general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch. John, that was quite an impressive couple of moves you made in the first round. Take us through the move you got to move 1 stop back, get the player you wanted in Solomon Thomas, and still get some picks in the process.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, Trey. You know, about a week and a half ago, I think that's where it was. Ryan Pace reached out, and you know, we talked about us drafting close to each other throughout the entire draft, and the fact that we should really stay in touch. You know, as this week got closer and the draft got closer, Ryan called again, and I could see that there was something that they were interested in. They talked about just allowing them the opportunity, if we had other teams involved, to get into our pick at number 2. We did have other teams involved, and Ryan and I touched base, and then draft day, it turned in, I think, a heck of a deal for both sides. They got their franchise quarterback. We were able to go to number 3, get Solomon Thomas, and then also get a bunch of picks in the process, including a number 3 in next year's draft. And then, you know, for us to get Reuben Foster, you know, we ended up getting 2 of our top 3 players on our entire board in the first round. So it was a dream come true. And really what we set out to do in this draft was to gather a nucleus of players that really embodied how we thought we were going to get back to the 49er way and get this organization back to where we feel like it belongs.
When you saw Reuben still there so late in the first round, you had to make the move to get in there and get him. How surprised were you, despite some of the baggage that he may bring, that a player of that quality was still there late in the first round?
Well, Trey, I mean, we thought about taking him at 3. If we didn't get out at 3, you know, we thought about taking him there. And so we started making calls early. And we called just about everybody in that first round for the opportunity to draft Reuben Foster. You know, some concerns about his shoulder throughout the league. Our doctors signed off on it. We felt comfortable with that. We did a lot of work on that, and I just love the way the kid plays. You know, I think a lot of people will talk about what happened at the Combine. I would tell you that Reuben Foster's character is what drew us to him. He's got an infectious personality. He's got a love for the game of football. When you start talking football, he gets a big grin on his face. He came into the building yesterday with Solomon, and the way those two just lifted the energy of the entire building, it just made us know that our instinct was right, and we're going to put together a heck of a plan for those guys, both on and off the field, to have great success for years to come.
By the way, that was quite the story he told about the phone call where he had 2 teams on the line at the same time when he got back into the building, and how he finally got the 49ers back on the phone by passing one phone over to his girl so he could talk to you guys.
Well, I called him, and he thought we were at 34. And so he was on the phone with the Saints. The Saints were talking to him. We had talked to him a lot throughout this process to get comfortable with the kid. And so he said, "Coach, the Saints are taking me at 32. It's too late." And I said, "No, we moved up to 31. And he finally got what I was saying, and the fact that we had traded into Seattle's, and he was thrilled. I really have a genuine feeling that he wanted to be a 49er. We were able to make that come to fruition, and we could not be more excited about it.
Tell me more about Okello Witherspoon, the cornerback you took out of Colorado, one of 3 Buffs that was drafted pretty high in this draft. He's an interesting kid. He grew 7 inches over 16 months between his senior year in high school and then moving on to college. What did you like most about his play in the defensive backfield, which is your specialty, of course?
Yeah, I think he's got a special athleticism and a unique blend of size and athleticism. You talked about the fact that he grew 7 inches from high school, and so he was a soccer player in high school that was about 5'9". He developed great feet, you know, and he became almost 6'3". That's where he is right now, but I think he still has the feet of a guy who's 5'9" and 5'10". We talked with Okello at great length about some of the issues with his game. I think at times he wasn't as physical as you would like, and a lot of people were surprised that me, of all people, would draft a guy that maybe at times wasn't physical. But we believe that we're going to demand it. And when you put guys like Reuben Foster and Solomon Thomas, and you add them to some of the guys we already have here, that part of his game, he'll raise his standard, and then we felt like he was just too good of an athlete at a position, frankly, we had a great need. And so with those first 3 picks, we really attacked all 3 levels, up front at the linebacker position, and then in the secondary out on the edge.
All right, John, I have to ask about the quarterback situation. I know you signed a couple. You did not take a quarterback in the draft. Are you comfortable going into the 2017 season with the quarterbacks that are on your roster?
We really are. We're happy. We have Brian Hoyer, who we think is a tremendous fit for what we do. He's been around Kyle Shanahan before. Matt Barkley is a guy that we went out and targeted and just felt like his skills really matched what we're doing well. And then, you know, what that Chicago deal allowed us to do, Trey, was we had a lot of ammunition. We had a lot of picks coming in. We gained even more picks in that Chicago deal. And so when we were sitting there in the 4th round and the 3rd round was about to end, C.J. Beathard was a guy we had really zeroed in on. We had some intel that the 3rd or 4th round is where some other teams valued him. And so rather than waiting and holding on into the 4th, we jumped up and we got him so that we could all sleep well. And Kyle Shanahan could finally have an offensive player. He's getting tired of all this defense.
I was about to say that had to go against every instinct that he had, but it's worked out well for you. You should write a manual now, by the way, on how to learn on the fly and manipulate the 1st round of the draft. It was pretty impressive. John, we appreciate you being with us. Best of luck going forward in the 2017 season. I hope we talk soon. Thanks a lot, Trey. I appreciate it. John Lynch, general manager, first-time general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, and did pretty well, especially at the top of the draft and getting some depth later on.